This month saw the launch of Australia's first ever dedicated LGBTQI+ mental health platform, Unboxed Pride, which for the first time offers qualified and in context local psychological services on a national level for the LGBTQI+ community. Welcome to Queer Conversation Podcast, brought to you by Lottel Media, a show where we discuss all things queer. I am your host, Silke Bader, a publisher and producer in the LGBTQI+ space for the past 30 years. The statistics are staggering when looking at Australia's mental health crisis for members of our LGBTQI+ community, who are 2.5 times more likely to have a mental health diagnosis than the wider community, and suicide attempts at an alarmingly high rate. One of Unboxed Pride highly qualified psychologists, Laura Risuto, who is a clinical psychologist with expertise in anger management, gender identity, and helping patients to navigate coming out, joins us for this week's episode on Queer Conversation.
Hello, my name is Laura Rizzuto. I'm a clinical psychologist from Sydney. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm an ally of the LGBTQIA+ community. I'm here today to talk about Unboxed Pride.
Laura, thanks for joining Queer Conversation today. You launched a new platform, Unboxed Pride, a web portal for the LGBTQI+ community to research and connect with psychologists. And the reason for that is because there are some really terrible stats for the LGBTQI community on mental health. So why don't you run us through why that portal was created in the first place and how people can use it?
Fabulous. Yeah, so Unboxed Pride was created because the founder in particular, his name's David, he had a lived experience of trying to access therapeutic support and found it really challenging to be able to connect and feel really seen and heard.
It must still be difficult for people from the LGBTQI+ community to find the right support they need.
I had so many people come to me who have been searching for the right kind of support. And the experience that is shared to me is that, because they identify as the LGBTQIA+ community, that a lot of the questioning is around, or the curiosity is actually around being part of that community versus the difficulties and the challenges that they were experiencing as a human being. And so to have an opportunity, a safe space to actually be seen and heard as their own person versus needing to explain themselves or needing to share additional information that really had them feeling unsafe and like they weren't quite connecting is something that people still have a lot of challenges with. The reason why this platform is predominantly an online platform is because we really want accessibility for everyone. We really want to have highly skilled and trained psychologists, psychotherapists, and counsellors that are either members of the community themselves or are allies of the community, so that expertise is there and ready to go to be able to support whoever needs access. So whether that is in the city, but also, absolutely, we're looking at really getting into those rural areas that are a little harder to reach and a little harder to access. However, because there is such a mental health crisis, what we are finding is that even people in the cities are finding it really challenging to find support at the moment.
How does it actually work? What do people do if they're looking for help?
Yeah, so you can find us at www.unboxedpride.com.au, and you will find when you open up the website that there's a catalogue of all different kinds of profiles of psychologists, clinical psychologists, counsellors, therapists, there's a big mix there. There's a wide variety of people that you can look at different people's profiles, and you can select who you feel like might be a good fit for you. So there is a smart matching technology that has been integrated into the platform, which means you can actually choose a therapist based on your goals or the particular challenges that you might be going through. If there's a particular modality that you are interested in trying out in your therapeutic journey, and also if it's really important to you to connect with someone who is themselves identified as part of the community or an ally. And so if a client or a prospective client is wanting to get involved but is not quite sure about the commitment just yet, there's also an opportunity to have a 10-minute, like a discovery call, to be able to connect with the therapist that they might be thinking about in the beginning, to really alleviate that person's kind of fears or concerns about connecting before booking into a session.
Can you tell us from your experience the difference between a face-to-face counseling session versus a Zoom counseling session?
Yeah, absolutely. So as long as you find a good fit with the person that you're working with, I find that relationship really transcends whether you're speaking in person with someone or if you're speaking on Zoom. And it's really the responsibility of the therapist to really support and ensure that there's a safe space for the client to be able to come into, particularly in a Zoom environment. When you think about it, there are things that we control as the therapist when people come in face to face. You know, you've got a room, you know that it's well lit and all of that to ensure that someone is really nice and comfortable. On Zoom, though, what we might do is ensure that you're okay in your environment, ask us a little bit about what's going on for you, and have a bit of a conversation about what do we need to do in case someone walks into the room or something happens, you need to leave suddenly, or the connection is a bit funny. So these are all things that we can talk about.
How does it work in regards of being billed? Is that exactly the same than if you would go to a therapist that you would see face-to-face? The billing, is it Medicare supported? How does that all work?
Absolutely. So at Unboxed Pride, we really want to ensure that the billing, first of all, is capped. So we want to make this as affordable as possible for people. And if you're looking at connecting with a clinical psychologist or a psychologist, there's absolutely Medicare rebates that are integrated into the platform. So as far as administration is concerned, the only thing that you need to worry about or you need to organise is getting a mental health treatment plan from a GP. And apart from that, we want to make the process as easy and streamlined as possible. So everything is online and we look after the billing for you.
Is there a phone number people ring and then speak to a human, or is it all done via chat and the website and email?
Well, there's a few options for people because what we know is that some people actually find it a bit challenging to speak to people on the phone or to interact with the human. Some people really love it. So we have a during business hours phone number. We also have email, but also people can go in and book their first appointment without needing to talk to anyone at all. So we really have options for everyone. If you want to have a chat, if you're not quite sure about who you'd like to be connected with in terms of a therapist and you want to speak to someone in the admin team, they'll be able to point you in the right direction. So there's absolutely that support for people who want it. However, for people who are more confident and just booking right in, that option is available as well.
Let's talk a little bit about the mental health crisis within our community, our LGBTQIA plus community. What do you think people struggle with?
Yeah, there are so many challenges that people face in today's society. And what we know about the statistics is that, LGBTQIA plus community do experience depression, anxiety, suicide attempts at a much higher rate to the general population. So I think in terms of adults or people who are age 18 and over will experience depression or be diagnosed with depression. I think 60.5% in LGBTQIA plus community compared to 10.5% of the typical population. We also see suicide rates 6 times higher. And so this is something that's really important that we need to look at. In terms of the kinds of challenges people can have. There are so many, okay? It can be anything from coming out to their experience of coming out to their experience of being different and not quite being able to put that finger on it, all the way from childhood moving through. It could be bullying. It could be an experience of childhood trauma. It can be an experience of the intercept between something like ADHD or autism and queerness. There are so many different problems these days that feel challenges that people are facing, and we just want to make sure that we're across each and every one of them so that no matter what people's individual experience is, that they're able to feel really seen and heard and be able to express themselves really authentically and show up as themselves in the therapeutic process and moving forward. I mean, Unboxed Pride is really about being able to step away from the boxes that have been created, whether that's from society or the boxes that we create ourselves in order to keep us safe and be okay in the world. But this is about really owning who you are and being that most authentic, express self and being able to shine, doing whatever you want moving forward. And so that's what we would really love to offer for everyone who comes to our service.
I think often people ignore the signs of, that they would need to look or they should go and try to get help because there is help out there.
Yeah.
And they just continue to suffer in silence because it's just too hard to reach out. So
yeah, and there's so much stigma that's still associated with actually reaching out and saying, hey, I need some support. And I think the LGBTQIA plus community are really good at being able to do things on their own because sometimes they have to. They kind of don't have a choice but to really pave their own way forward. And so at some point in time, that might have absolutely been the only possibility or the only thing that they could have done. But now over time, there is more support that is available. And we would really love for people to be able to turn to that support more and more. Of course, there's support in terms of family or friends or chosen family in the community, but we really want to be able to offer that additional expert support with people that have experiences working with the community, for the community, or are part of the community so that they can truly thrive. Our therapists have a real wealth of knowledge and expertise across a number of different areas. There is support for whether it's coming out, whether it's career issues, whether it's for looking at obtaining gender-affirming surgery and needing some support around that, anxiety, depression, if you're someone who has ADHD or autism. We've got people that are experienced in supporting people through childhood trauma, through relationship issues. So there really is a breadth of expertise on the team to ensure that everything is kind of accounted for. And what's really brilliant about that smart technology that we've built in is depending on what you're after or what you're really looking for, you can actually tick those items, and the therapists who are able to support you with that will come up on the screen, which means that then you're able to choose the person who will be right for you and more specific to perhaps the challenges that you're experiencing. Find us at www.unboxedpride.com.au.
Well, Laura, thanks very much for joining us today and let us know about this great service that you're offering.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you like to help support the podcast, please share it with others. Post about it on social media or leave a rating and review. To catch all the latest from us, you can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook using the tag @LottleMedia, or head to our website, lottle.com. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.